Okay, looks like we are live and ready to roll here. Um, just a disclaimer, this is my first time doing this, so we're going to see how this works. The onus for doing YouTube versus a different platform like a Zoom or Google Meet or something is hypothetically, if we get everyone participating in the meeting, which we have 276 players on the baseball side this year, um, that would be, if you assume two connections per player, that's 500 people trying to get on a meeting. Most meeting providers do not accommodate such large volume, so we're going to try out this streaming platform to see if it works or not. If you have any questions at all during the presentation, please drop them in the chat, or if you can't hear me or whatever the case may be, just shoot something in the chat. I will take a look at it and do my best to address it as we go along. But without further ado, let's get this show on the road. So for those of you who do not know me, I am Noah Carrero. I'm the Director of Baseball Operations for the Illinois Hawks. I have been with the organization since 2016-17. I found the Hawks as a senior in high school. My baseball journey was a bit convoluted for a couple of different reasons, but the biggest being in high school, I was homeschooled, so I bounced around from a bunch of different travel organizations looking for one that supported kids like me who didn't have a traditional high school with the resources available, like a bunch of other people do. So I went, like I said, I was with a bunch of different organizations, finally found the Hawks. Ben took me under his wing for that season, and I went from having no college interest to two college offers in about 4 months. So it just goes to show that once you get in the right environment with the right people and you buy into the system, things can happen, which was really exciting for me. I had then the privilege of going on to play at the University of St. Francis in Joliet for 5 seasons. I played pretty much everywhere in the infield besides first base, third, short, second. Spent 3 years as a starting shortstop. Was blessed enough to achieve 2 degrees in business management, both a bachelor's and a master's degree. Since graduating, I have rejoined the organization as a coach. I took over a 12U team back in 2022-23. I'm still with that team now. We'll be 15U this year. It'll be my 4th year as a head coach, right? Yeah, that's crazy to think about. But very excited. I was promoted to youth development director 2 years ago, working with the youth teams in that capacity, helping develop their skill sets during the off season. I've done field scheduling, all that fun stuff, and now this year getting the nod for the director of baseball operations position. So again, very, very excited to kick off this new season. One of the things that I want to stress among many is that as an organization, we've heard your feedback that leadership and communication from leadership hasn't been as visible as it should be. So I'm going to do my very best to improve that this year through interactions like this. If I can find a meeting platform that doesn't cost me an arm and a leg to allow for more interaction during these calls, I'm certainly going to explore that. But just for a brief history lesson, the Hawks were started down in Shorewood actually back in 2015 with only a couple of teams. We only moved up to the Dome in 2020, so we've spent about half of our existence here at Aurora. Half of it was in Shorewood. So my big goal and vision for the program is to help us take that big step forward in terms of managing all our processes. We still operate, in my opinion, as kind of the startup organization. Obviously, now we are very big. We've added softball about I think 4 years ago. So this is a big operation now, and a lot of our processes are still kind of stuck in that startup phase. So I want to do the best I can to help streamline a lot of things, and help standardize the player experience. Um, I'm going to be investing heavily in a coaching development program so that we can continue to invest in the people that are having the most direct interaction with your player. That's going to be in reimagining the digital experience to help streamline everything from registration to payments to sharing data about your player profiles, um, all of that fun stuff. How do we integrate technology into the player development process? How do we get the right people in the room to make sure that we are maximizing the value that we can bring for you? Obviously, all of those things are very blue sky. It's going to take time for that to happen. So at this very early stage, I'm going to ask for your patience as we go through this process. Um, if you have any thoughts or feedback at any time, we are very open to hearing that. Ben has always had that as a cornerstone of the program. I'm planning to continue that forward on the baseball side. If there's anything that you ever have on your mind, please reach out to me, email or text. I do work another job. My 9 to 5 is doing pricing for a law firm in Chicago, so I am not doing baseball full time. Baseball is a nice side hustle that I really enjoy doing. Most of the time, it doesn't feel like work. It's something that I highly value. I wish I had more of when I was a kid. Being able to give back to you all, both players and families, is an honor for me. But this is not something I do full time. So if we need to have a conversation about something, more than happy to do that. Just need to schedule it ahead of time to fit in with all my other commitments that I have going on. But things like this on the evening or on the weekends, more than happy to do that. If I need to take my lunch hour to make phone calls, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So now that we're about 5 minutes into this, I want to give a brief kind of agenda of what we're looking to cover tonight, so that you guys have an idea of where I'm going. First and foremost is going to be covering the key kind of calendar segments that we're going to experience during this season, to fall, winter training, into the spring team practices and into games. Communicate some key expectations of players, parents, touch on coaches as well, and then finish up with some tips and tricks about things you need to know, points of contact for different questions that you might have. And then we'll wrap up with a quick Q&A. Maybe if you have feedback for other topics, I'm more than happy to hear it. But let's get this thing started here. So quick overview of the calendar. Obviously, we are in, school has just started. We're in the fall segment. So the fall is flexible, and we'll split the conversation into two parts. On the youth side, each team is free to do what they would like in the fall. We support them in that. The youth teams have a budget that they're able to spend throughout the year on various things such as fields, league fees, additional training, all that good stuff. So if coaches want to do things in the fall, they are more than welcome to. As a side note, all of the coaches should have reached out to you by now, introducing themselves, scheduling hopefully a team meet and greet, either in person or virtually, so that they can put faces to names and get to know the players, and you get to know the coaching staff. If that has not happened yet for you, please reach out to me directly. As a general rule of thumb, if you have more general questions, it's preferred that you ask your coach. Foster that relationship, keep those lines of communication open. I've instructed all of our coaches to, again, encourage those conversations. The more communication we can have, the better off all of us will be. And we want to make sure that works through the chain of command so we can build those relationships. Oftentimes, the coaches can answer a lot of your first level questions. Obviously, I'm very busy managing all of the teams and a lot of other things on the admin side. Again, I'm happy to always answer questions, but if we can work through that chain of command first, it would be greatly appreciated. So with that said, the youth teams are on their own to do things throughout the fall. I know we got some doing leagues, some doing tournaments, some just doing training and practices, some doing nothing at all. That is all totally fine. It is up to each team to decide what they would like to do. On the high school side, I know we got a lot of players in other sports, which we fully encourage. We want our athletes to be multi-sport athletes. It helps build their overall development, builds their character, helps prevent burnout from doing one sport for 12 months out of the year. On the high school side, we do have fall teams that will be kicking off practices here very shortly. That's going to be the structured program for them. Obviously, any high school players or any players in general, come September 1st, are free to use the Dome for training on their own. Um, I'll cover the point of contact and the steps on that here at the end of this conversation today. So that fall segment will run through the end of September pretty much, is when most teams finish up, maybe first week in October, but that's the general time frame there. Once we get to the end of September, that's when the Mission 360 training program begins. I want to clear up a common misconception that the training is an additional cost. It is not. Mission 360 is included in your player fee. The exceptions being 18U and 9U this year. Those budget funds were allocated elsewhere. For 10U through 17U, all of those teams are participating in Mission 360. Mission 360 has been our training partner for the last 5 years. They've done a great job with our program. It's led by Aaron Nakula, former catcher in the Oakland A's organization, was a minor league coach for them for many years as well. Tom Nelson is a co-owner, and he runs a lot of the defensive work. He is a former minor league coach for the Chicago Dogs, working with their infielders. And his son, Cole, just graduated from Lewis University and is looking to potentially make the jump to pro ball here in the next year or so, along with Alex Hales, who's also our college recruiting coordinator. He runs a lot of the hitting side and the pitching side with Mission 360. I know they're bringing on additional staff members this year as well to be announced, so keep your eyes peeled for those. But that program will start at the end of September. Let me pull up the dates so I can make sure I get this right. So the first sessions will begin September 28th. That's a Sunday. So Sunday, September 28th will be the first training sessions for Mission 360. Catchers will train on Sunday mornings. I believe the high school group is going to be early afternoon. So it's going to start around 9 a.m. for the youth guys. So it'll be like a session from 9 to 10:30, from 10:30 to noon. And I believe the high school guys are going 12 to 2 or somewhere around there. All those are still being finalized right now, which is why I haven't sent them out to you via email. As soon as they are, I will send those out. But just so you have a general idea of where the schedule is looking at, I wanted to get those in front of you here tonight. Pitchers will be training in Sunday afternoons. Start time to be determined, probably going to be around that 2 o'clock window. So again, stay tuned for that. It's going to be broken out in a couple different groups and run through the Dome. For catchers, the first couple of sessions might be outside at Marmion's varsity field, Marmion Academy in Aurora. It's only about a 15-minute drive from the Dome. Mission 360 staff wants more room to focus on throwing, to focus on catcher pop-ups. There's some of those things that need more space, even though the Dome has a lot of space. Would be better served outdoors. So while the weather is nice, we're going to try to do that outside this year, which would be a nice perk. But again, that's only for the first couple of weeks, and then they'll be back indoors as usual. For the youth teams, so 10 through 14U, your program for defense and hitting will likely be on Mondays. Again, that's still being finalized, but your program will be all-encompassed on Mondays. For the high school guys, 15 through 17U, your hitting training will probably be on Tuesday evenings, and then your defense training will be on Saturday mornings. So the high school players are going to get more total hours of training this year than they have in the past, which is a very exciting development from our side. They get more targeted work in the offense and defensive realm. So we're very excited to be able to roll that out for our families this season. So the Mission 360 sessions will go through the end of November. There might be a bleed into the first week of December, depending on, if we have to cancel due to weather or something like that. But we should be pretty much wrapped up by the end of November. With that said, in the December timeframe, that's usually a dead period for us on the baseball side. Obviously, the holidays are a big focus for everyone, so we tend to free up our schedule. But the Dome will still be open for the most part for individual training. If you have interest in getting in the dome, you'll be able to contact Ben. Again, I'll fill in all those details at the end of the call. Then come the new year, that's when team practices will begin. So January 2nd, team practices will start. The team practice schedule will be released in probably the next 6 to 8 weeks, maybe sooner, depending on how things work out. But in general, you can plan on your team practicing once during the week in the evening and then once on a weekend day, whether that's Saturday or Sunday. Each practice will be 2 hours long. One of those hours will be in the field for defensive work, throwing work, all that fun stuff. And then 1 hour of the practice will be in the cages to work on hitting. As the off season progresses, you'll definitely have pitchers doing live at bats, stuff like that, to get them ready for their season. High school guys, important to note that high school tryouts are usually at the end of February. So hopefully everybody makes their high school team. That is the goal. If you do make your high school team, then we cannot have any formal contact with you per IHSA rules until you are released from your high school roster at the end of the season. So our high school teams will stop practicing after February. For those who do not make their high school team, we will offer a spring team for all of the guys that didn't make their team. There's usually a practice per week and then double headers on the weekends just to keep guys fresh, keep the rust off so that they can hit the ground running come summer tournaments. For the youth teams, you'll continue to practice through the end of March indoors. Obviously, if the weather happens to be nice outside, then you'll be able to get outside at your coach's discretion. But let's be honest, most of the time the weather isn't bearable until mid-April at the earliest. So just plan on being domed through at least the beginning of April. Most youth leagues start the 1st of April. Most of our teams are doing WSBL. We had a team or two do KCBL last year, but most teams are WSBL for their league games and then their tournaments. So their schedule will start in April and go through usually mid-July. The high school guys, once you get released from your high school team, usually mid to late May, then your high school schedule will begin for us. So we will get you back in-house, get a couple practices under your belt, and then whisk you off to your first tournament of the summer, usually around Memorial Day weekend or the first weekend in June. And then your tournament schedule will go through usually mid to late July, depending on the team and what their schedule looks like. Ben handles all the scheduling, the tournament scheduling for the high school teams. So those tournaments will likely be known probably by early 2026. So stay tuned for that. So in a nutshell, that is everything from the calendar perspective. It's like in the chat here, I don't see any chat messages, so I think we're in good shape. So I will continue to plug ahead here. So regarding important expectations, like I said, if you have questions, comments, feedback, I would encourage you to talk to your coach about it. Again, communication is a two-way street. I've instructed our coaches to be as communicative as possible with you all. I do know that throughout the season, things are going to happen. It's important to remember that all of our coaches are human, as are all of our players and our parents. Things are going to happen. Words are going to be misinterpreted. It's all part of the process. Just go up to them, have a conversation, try to build a frame of mutual understanding. If things need to be escalated, again, I will be here, Ben will be here to be able to answer those for you, to help you through situations. Again, there's a lot of human interaction involved, so it's just going to take time for people to get used to each other. Mistakes are going to be made. Let's be accountable and find a way to productively bring those to the table and move forward. I want to remind everybody of the Hawks Code of Conduct as well. That is something that you signed at the beginning of the season when you joined us. Let's throw that up on the screen here. So as you'll remember, this is the document that you signed when you joined the program. Please reference it as the season unfolds, this is not just something that we give lip service to. We often come back and reference this document. So please do the same on your end. All of these standards hold true for our staff as well. So we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page and we are working together to do the best we can to give our players a productive and informative experience this year. To that end, again, I'm having a coaching development program that I'm rolling out here next month. So we'll basically be a continuing education program for our coaches to help them handle situations coming up. Our big focus for the fall will be prepping practice plans and understanding the timeline for on-ramps for arms and throwing program. So that's going to be a big focus. We're implementing warm-up protocols for all of our teams. But again, that's going to take time. It's going to have growing pains for people to get used to. So again, your patience is appreciated as we work through all of this. On top of that, for our coaching staff this year, we are going to be, I'm hoping to get it done by the end of the month. We'll see how that works out. But we're hoping to be USA BASE, so BASE certified. That's a certification through USA Baseball for all of our coaches having undergone background checks and abuse awareness training to help prevent unfortunate incidences from happening underneath our care. So that's something I'm very excited about having this year as a formal certification for our program, and should hopefully put us at the forefront of making sure that we are doing everything we can to keep the human lives in our care safe in all situations. So let's flip back to me so I can go back to my notes. Again, I encourage you all to ask questions as things unfold throughout the season. The more informed you are, the better off we are going to be. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's segment to tips and tricks. Players that don't play. Oh, we got a question. All right, so Michael's got a question. Players that don't play high school have one practice per week and a doubleheader on the weekend. Doubleheader, please explain. Yes, great question. So the spring team program plays doubleheaders, and so doubleheaders is basically just 2 games back to back, and that's done because a lot of the other teams that have a spring program. So, like the old Illinois Indians, which I don't know who they are anymore. People change names all the time. But they only have so many players, and they're often traveling from an hour plus away. So to make that maximize all of our time, both for us as a program and for our opponents, if we're going to travel, an hour or 90 minutes, we definitely want to play 2 games, so that all of our pitchers can get work in. We can rotate a bunch of people in on defense, just get a bunch of reps in that particular day, that we don't have to pay double for the field, get new umpires out there. Just makes the most sense for everybody. So great question. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so I want to touch quickly on some tips and tricks. The first being around using the Dome for individual training. So as part of your Hawks fee, the Hawks offer the Dome facility for access to all of our players for when we don't have anything scheduled at the Dome. So if you see an open spot on the schedule, you're more than welcome to come in with your player and help them improve their game using our facility. And I want to walk through the steps of how you would do that because it's a common question that we receive. So let me pull things up here. Great. Okay, so on my screen, you're going to see the training schedule. So this is on our website, illinoishawks.org/schedule. So this schedule is basically just a Google sheet. You can tab through each day to see the schedule. Ben keeps this updated on his end, and you can see what spots in the Dome are available. what times and what days. So in the fall here, things are much more available than they otherwise would be. Again, come September 1st, a lot of these closed things will be gone. It'll be our pretty much our full fall hours. So you can come in and train with us when you'd like. The only thing that we ask is that you confirm with Ben that the schedule is actually the way it seems. But make sure you check this before you message Ben. We don't want to inundate him with a bunch of messages, but he does do his best to get back to you. As a general rule of thumb, during the week, any time before 5 p.m. is usually open for people to come in and train. On the weekends, usually the afternoons are better in terms of open spots, especially when you get to January, February. So in the fall here, there's going to be a lot more availability. As you see Wednesday, it's usually a pretty busy day for us, but as of right now, it's much more available than it otherwise would be. So in the fall, there'll be a lot more opportunities to come in and train than there will be come January and February. January and February is our peak time in terms of bookings. So we have both all of our Hawks teams, baseball and softball, plus soccer, plus a couple of third-party leases that we have using the space. So things get pretty tight in those 2 months. Once the month of March hits and our high school players are released to their high school team, that takes a bunch of teams off of our books. We've got 4 15s, 4 16s, 2 17s, 2 18s. So that's 12 teams that come off the schedule just on the baseball side alone. Softball is a similar breakdown. I think they have about 7, maybe 6 or 7 high school teams. So again, those are all coming off the schedule. So you get a lot more availability that comes up once you hit March. So just keep that in mind as you're looking for opportunities to come in and use the facility. Again, we do have third parties that come in and lease the space, so we need to be respectful of their hours as well. If you have any questions, again, Ben is more than happy to answer them for you and help facilitate training time that works for you. Okay. Let's toggle back to my notes. Okay, so points of contact for the program and who to ask about what. So let me pull up our staff. Throw that back up on the screen. Okay, so Ben Hewitt is our president. Obviously, he is going to be able to handle everything related to the Dome schedule. That is his domain. That is where he can help. Obviously, he can answer general questions about the program, about how things are going. But he's very, very busy. So if you want if you want to follow the chain of command, that would be greatly appreciated. John Arola is our treasurer. He handles all the money. So generally speaking, money questions will go to him. If it's about payments for your account or anything account related, that's where my domain is. If I need to get John involved, I will. But if it's just coordinating the logistics of a payment or understanding what's due or a payment bounced, those are all system questions that I'll be able to answer. That falls squarely in my domain. If you have any technology questions, those would also come to me. If you have any questions about Mission 360, about team practices, about just anything in general, I'm your point of contact. Alex Hales is our recruiting coordinator on the baseball side. So all of our high school players have access to Alex to be able to get assistance for your college recruiting journey. One thing I want to stress heavily is that if you want his assistance, you have to reach out to Alex. Alex is the head baseball coach at Waubonsie Community College, in addition to working with us as a recruiting coordinator and with Mission 360 as a hitting advisor. He is extremely busy, so he doesn't have the time to proactively reach out to you. However, if you want assistance and reach out to him, he will respond to you very quickly. He is extremely communicative, more than willing to help. So if you are interested, please reach out to him and he will coordinate either phone calls, meetings, whatever, to get you guys on the right track for where you're at in the stage of your career for the college recruiting side. But again, that's something that you have to take the initiative on. We're not going to proactively send that to you. I'll remind you guys throughout the year, but that's something that is individual. So we want the individuals to be reaching out to him. Matt Lopez is our new director of youth development. He's stepping into my former role with the organization. I've known Matt for many years now. I played with him in college. He's a very high character guy, knows what he's talking about. He is the current freshman baseball coach at Morris Community High School. So loves working with the kids and has a wealth of knowledge to be able to share with them. He was a two-way guy in college, but mainly focused on pitching. He's also an assistant coach on my team, 15U Red. So if there are any questions you have about the weight room or how do you periodize a throwing program, or you want general advice about what your players should be doing on their own to help get better, again, obviously talk to your team's coach. But if you want resources above and beyond that, Matt is more than willing to work with you and your player to make sure that they are maximizing their time and getting a good return on that time investment. Emily Bell runs our social media, so all the social media posts you'll see by and large are from her. She's also coordinating the golf outing this year. So as your coaches, I'm sure have made known to you, each team is responsible for signing up a foursome for golf. It doesn't have to be people from your team. It just has to be contacts in your network that you're responsible for bringing in 4 golfers to that event and a raffle basket to be included as a prize for our raffle. We are also still looking for sponsors for the event. Those are all the available spots are online on the golf invite link that's been circulating through email and social media. If you know someone who's interested in sponsoring, please reach out to Emily and she'll be able to coordinate the details. If you have silent auction items that you would like to donate to the event, we'd be more than happy to have those as well. That is something Emily can also coordinate. I know my picture is kind of covering up her contact info, but again, that's all on the website. And then JT does all of our web development for IllinoisHawks.org. Illinois Hawks Online is where all of our registration stuff. That's all hosted by Crossbar. Those questions go through me, but anything IllinoisHawks.org related, JT is your guy. Okay, let me check the chat again, see if there are any other questions. Does not look like it at the moment. So yeah, at this time, I'll stay on here for a couple of minutes to answer any questions that you may have. I would like to say that if you found this format helpful, definitely am open to continuing to do these. I want to figure out what mediums work best to distribute the information to everyone. So if you're a fan of these more, virtual live streams, I'm happy to do that. If you prefer email updates or some other medium, please reach out to me and let me know. I would really appreciate your feedback on all of that. But again, I'm honored to be leading the program this year. It's a big responsibility, but I am extremely excited to make an even bigger impact on the baseball careers of all these young men. So yeah, I'll stick around here for a couple minutes if you have questions, but otherwise enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will talk to you guys again soon. Yeah, Victor, great question about the weight room. So as of right now, we don't have an on-site weight room, but Matt Lopez can help your player with a weight training program if that's something that you're interested in. a lot of the programs that he writes can be done at home via body weight or, just a pair of dumbbells or whatever. Again, depending on the age of your player, really dictates how we write the program. But as of right now, we don't have a weight room to complete that on site. That is in our roadmap over the next 5 years, but that's not something we currently have today. That's a great question. I definitely should have covered that. Samantha, thank you for calling that out. So uniform fittings will be on October 30th this year. That's a Thursday evening. Again, we're confirming that date, but I want to get that out to you now. So we will be, again, sending that via email here in the next couple of weeks. I'm working with Sports Huddle directly to make sure that we have everything squared away. I know last year got derailed because there was a large chunk of people that couldn't make the sizing day, so we're holding the order until they got sized. Again, so the more people that can make the sizing day on the October 30th, the sooner we can get the order in, the sooner we can get those in your hands. When reserving a spot for the dome, is this restricted to players only? Uh, that's a good question. We restrict access to the facility for Hawks players. As a parent, you're more than welcome to accompany your parent and help them train. In fact, we encourage that. In certain circumstances, we'll allow high school players to bring one of their high school teammates, but they need to sign a waiver, and it's a more convoluted process. So that is something that needs to be run by Ben before we allow access to non-Hawks players. But yeah, absolutely, family members are more than welcome to use the facility with their Hawks player. Awesome. Yep, happy to help, Victor. Bernardo, good question. I have, in full transparency, I have not heard anything from Ben about Pure Motion. So I will follow up with him and can reach out to you offline. Samantha, will Mission 360 run the same as last year, or will there be any changes as to what they learn and go over? So there will be some content adjustments. I know that your team is going to be 13U this year. So there should be a couple of tweaks to the program. The premise of Mission 360 is to really revisit the fundamentals and hammer those in. As having gone through the program myself while in college, I joined some training sessions. Even for an experienced player, you kind of take tidbits here and there a way that you hadn't before. The reframing of the information is often helpful. So yeah, the general goal of the program remains the same. The drill packages and how we get from point A to point B usually is tweaked from year to year, and this year is exactly that same philosophy. Anytime. All right. I will give it about 2 more minutes here for any last minute questions before I sign off. Well, Angel, that's a great question. Will the coach for the high school age contact parents or players? Ideally, they should be contacting both parents and players. I guess it really depends on the situation. All standard communication from teams should be to both players and coach or players and parents. I know that as these guys get to high school, they need to be standing on their own 2 feet a little bit. So a lot of the performance conversations, especially after practice and stuff, might only happen with the player directly. But yeah, all the important information and all the key conversations should be with still both the players and the parents. You're welcome. All right. Okay, I am going to call it here. If anything else comes to mind, feel free to shoot me a text or an email. Again, all my information's on the website. But yeah,